come the spring, I'm looking around a 50K, a 40 mile, a 100 mile, and a 50 mile PR in all of those races. That's my goal.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Hi, welcome back. It's Adrian the Mountain Man. As you can see, I'm back in North Carolina after my trip to New Hampshire for the Midstate Massive 100. As most of you know, I tested positive for COVID the day before the Midstate Massive, so unfortunately I did not get to run. But what that meant was I got to hang out with my parents for a couple of weeks. My dad eventually did test positive for COVID about a week after I did, and then I don't know, his immune system's crazy because he got over it the same time I did. I still have a little bit of a cough, but I am now testing negative. While I was up in New England, I got some great fall foliage footage. I'm really proud of myself for getting that out on the first go. But I'll give you some context while you're watching it. But I'm going to pretty much let that play, and I'll give you some context about what you're looking at. You'll see my parents' house, and I fly over the river to the high school track that I ran at growing up. That's a great story. I'll tell you about that. And then also we took the Jeep up and over the mountain that we live at the base of Carter Mountain, and I used to ride dirt bikes and run up all through there. So it's great that I can show you guys some of that stuff, kind of where my running journey began for the most part. So I will let that play out, and I'll give you some updates on how I've been doing since I caught COVID and now that I've tested negative, and what my plans are for the next couple of months. All right, enjoy the footage, and I will come in as I need to and give you some context and explain what's going on. All right, thank you so much. All right, this first shot is, there's a prep school in the town I grew up in called New Hampton School. And way back, this used to be a ski hill for the prep school kids to come and practice on the downhill ski team. There was a rope tow. There's still remnants of it. There's still a building at the top of the hill that has, that would run the rope tow, so people could, grab the rope and it would pull them back up the hill, and then they could ski down again. So this is right next to, not my parents' house now, but our old house. And we were driving down the hill, and we saw a couple of eagles, bald eagles, in this really tall dead pine tree. And my parents said that they are there often. So I pulled over. We were coming back from driving a Jeep around in the woods. So I pulled over and got the drone out, and I wasn't sure how close they would let me. I didn't want to disturb them, but I obviously wanted to see if I could get some good footage of them. And so I flew pretty close, and if I saw them kind of ruffle their feathers or do anything like that, I backed the drone off. So but they let me get pretty close, and it didn't seem to bother them. And so I did this pre-programmed little drone shot. Drones nowadays have, like, you can do a circle around things, so that's what I did. I drew a circle around the two eagles and had it do a lap around and keep it in frame. It wasn't a perfect circle. It didn't stay close to them the whole time, but it backed out, and then you get to see all this great foliage. So I wasn't too upset about that. And then when it comes back around, it gets closer again. So I thought that was a great shot, and I definitely wanted to share that with all of you guys. All right, guys, this shot was a lot of fun for me because there are a lot of fun stories that go along with it. So that was my grandmother's house. I lived there for a couple of years, and then we moved across the street. And our land goes all the way down to the river. And so I used to take a rowboat to school. So I would go down the hill. There's a little pathway, goes all the way down to the river. We had a little tiny dock and had a little rowboat. And so I would row across the river to school. Not in the winter, obviously, because it was frozen. But most of the time I would do that. I get really car sick, so I didn't like riding the bus. And we also lived in a very rural area, so it would take an hour just to get, I'd get dropped off at the elementary school, and then I'd have to wait to get another bus. So if I could just row or walk to school, it was 2 miles around. If you went down the end of my road, across the bridge, and up this little 104, that's the highway that's in front of this track here. But some of the other things that we would do is during cross-country practice, we would run all over the place. Obviously, it's a very hilly area, so we've got lots of good hills, and I lived at the base of Carter Mountain. So a lot of times we would run around down this 104, this highway, cross a bridge, down the road I lived on, and up to the mountain and up past my house. But then on the way back, I would race the rest of the cross-country team. They would run around the 2 miles, and I would run down to the river and swim across the river back to the high school to see who would win. So that was a really fun. I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty unique high school experience, but it was a lot of fun. And I love growing up on the river. And there's a lake in the town next door. It's only like 5 miles away. So I really grew up on the water, in the water, and in high school. Commuted on the water. So yeah, I thought that was a great shot. So like you said, like you can see, it was directly, we were directly, if there was a track meet, like if I wasn't there, like if if it was before high school, I was in high school, or after I was graduated, you can hear the track meets from our house. So just another thing that kind of add to my my love of running and the kind of things that I grew up with. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. All right, and this is a time lapse. This is the last thing I'll show you guys. We couldn't go anywhere because my dad and I were both COVID positive, and my stepmom, she didn't get it, but she thought she had it a few weeks before. So we we kind of stuck in the house, and one day we were like, well, let's go do something. So this is Carter Mountain, and it is the house we grew up on is at the base of this mountain, and there's a dirt road. Well, it used to be a dirt road. Half of it's paved now. And it goes up to these trails, and these trails used to be old carriage road, and so now what you're looking at is much better condition than what it was when I was growing up. It was like you could barely tell it was there when I was growing up, but now there's a snowmobile association that keeps the trail up and built this bridge that you're looking at here. Unfortunately, it was pretty stout, but some of the base, you'll see me looking at it now, some of the beams going across the bottom look kind of rotted, so we didn't feel like it was worth it to try to take the Jeep over this. But it goes up over the mountain and it goes into the next town, and that's what I used to do growing up. I would run up over the mountain. I could either turn and come down the other side of the town that I lived in New Hampton, and that was a good run, maybe 5, 6, 7 miles. Or if I really wanted to go for a long run, or I would take a dirt bike. I had an enduro bike growing up. I could go into the next town over past that, and that would be a good long way. And I did that a lot growing up. You know, I'm an introvert. I didn't hang out with a lot of people. I had a lot of friends in school, but I didn't really hang out with a lot of people outside of school. So I did a lot of exploring on my own, kind of like I do now with my running. You know, I run by myself most of the time. And so I would go up over this mountain all the time, either running or with my dirt bike. So my parents and I decided to go for a trip and see what it was all about, and see what it looked like now. So that was my trip to New Hampshire. Did not include a 100-mile ultramarathon, but included a lot of nostalgia, hang out with my parents, driving around. There are a lot of other driving things I did. I didn't film them, but just to revisit the area and see some more fun things. So since I'm not running right now, I thought I would share that with you guys. So I haven't run yet since I tested positive for COVID, and I just got back. Today is Tuesday. I got back late Sunday night. I am planning on trying to run this week and see how it goes. For the most part, I don't have a sore throat. I don't have headaches. I don't have fever. I still do have a cough and a little bit of a scratchy throat. It's not sore like it was before. So I'm hoping that I can start getting back into running and start focusing on. I have a 50K in January that has potential to be a PR course, so I'm going to start focusing on that. I also have the Uwharrie 40 miler in February, which is a race I've done Uwharrie either the 8, the 20, or the 40, I think 5 or 6 times now, but I've done the 40 twice. I ran a 9:14 in my 9:15 in my last attempt, so I'm going to try and break 9 hours. Then I have the Midstate Marathon in March, which last year I used it as a training run for the Midstate 100. I probably do the same here, but I will try to get, I think I ran 5:04 or something like that. I'd like to get that down closer to like 4:30. And then the Midstate Marathon, the Midstate 100, I have big goals. Taking a lot of time off, that's the goal. I mean, I don't know, that's not much of a hint, but like I said, I do want to put in a couple more months worth of work to see if my goal is achievable and realistic. And then after that, I have the Highball to Thurman 50 miler, which takes place in West Virginia in May. And I also feel like that could be, based on the information I've got and that I'll share with you as I get it more organized, get more close to that race. I feel like that could be a 50-mile PR course for me. So come the spring, I'm looking at a 50K, a 40-mile, a 100-mile, and a 50-mile PR in all of those races. That's my goal. And we'll get closer. We'll get more into the specifics once we get closer. All right, so that's where I'm at right now and what I'm looking forward to in the spring. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Lots of big things coming up in the next few months, and I would love to share that with you. All right, thanks so much, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks.